Knock knock.
Who's there?
Mommy.
Mommy who?
Mommy issues. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Daddy.
Daddy who?
Daddy issues too.
I don't understand.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Batman.
Batman.
We've seen the movie of the year in March.
And it's only March. Wow.
I mean, I'm sure there's other movie of the years coming
Yeah.
out, but this is the one everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah.
The Batman.
The Batman.
3 hours. Robert Pattinson is our new Bruce Wayne Batman. He's joined by Zoe Kravitz, Andy Serkis, Colin Farrell, John Turturro,
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright,
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano, and Peter Sarsgaard, and there's some bit actors in here. This Batman movie takes a lot of inspiration from The Long Halloween, but also it takes inspiration from Year Zero,
Yep.
and it takes inspiration from the Arkham games. And basically, it is year 2 of Bruce Wayne being Batman, and he's still, hey, guess what? He's still not over his parents dying.
He's still getting used to it a little.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, actually, he's pretty good as Batman. Like, he's pretty, proficient in what he's doing.
Yeah,
But
but
it's...
he's having a struggle of conflict in his
Yeah.
own brain about who Batman is supposed to be for Gotham and what
Is
he's
it
supposed to
working?
represent. He plays more of a detective in this movie, and he's got to figure out the Riddler's clues and also deal with Carmine Falcone. He's got to
Yeah.
deal with Oswald Cobblepot. He's got
Gotta
to
deal with the cops.
deal with the cops who don't really trust him.
Yeah.
I mean, they never do anyways. But this one is probably the darkest of them all.
Scariest.
Very scary. Like
Yeah.
you feel terrified of Batman.
It's unnerving.
Yeah.
Like, there were kids in our theater, and I was like, this kid should not be
Yeah.
in here.
But this is the Batman like a lot of fans have wanted.
Yes.
This is the most probably comic accurate Batman.
Ben Affleck's Batman feels a little bit more like the cartoony Justice League Batman. But this is like those fringe kind of, not fringe, but those like really dark ones that like after you read like, your basic stuff, your kids, after you watch the animated series,
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
I really want to get into the comics. And then you grab a comic and you're like, ooh, very dark. And it's
Yeah.
like, it feels just like that. We've gotten like a few Ben Affleck things, and now it's like, no, we're on the other side of the spectrum.
I would say actually we don't see Bruce Wayne at all. We only see
No.
Batman. There's him pretending to be Bruce Wayne.
And I see that there's a lot of complaints about that right now, but
Yeah.
I feel like a year 2 Batman, it's still like he's still year 2 Bruce Wayne too. You
Yeah.
know that it's like he's still trying to figure all of it out, and so I let that slide, and I was glad to see that we did get a ton of Batmans.
But I'm gonna say it right now. I think Robert Pattinson a better Batman than Christian Bale.
Oh yeah,
And that's what I think makes me like this movie more. I wouldn't say I like it more than a Dark Knight because, I mean, Dark Knight is like the pinnacle.
yeah.
But there is an argument here to say like this is probably the second best Batman movie.
Yeah, and I think just give it time, and The Dark Knight has the Joker and has really more the Heath Ledger performance, and that's what makes it so iconic and great. And in no way is like Paul Dano gonna reach that status.
No.
But it's I think just like visually, the school, like there's just so much in this movie that like elevates it. I think as a movie, like the whole movie, like Gotham and just the way it all pans out, like to me it's better in regards of the Dark Knight. But yeah, I mean like Dark Knight's always going to be the more iconic one.
Yeah.
I think this is a better like overall movie. But yeah, it's you throw a Heath Ledger performance in the Batman, and you're just gonna gonna be the best.
Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is just like perfect. I mean, this is the year of Zoe Kravitz. I already watched Kimmy, and Kimmy, her physicality and her roles are just like ungodly.
Yeah,
It's like I don't know how she could play Kimmy in one movie and then play this sultry, seductive. Also, she's Catwoman. Catwoman is like the pinnacle of like the juxtaposition of what Batman is. He's dark and broody, and Catwoman is just like she helps people who need to be helped, regardless of what you know, if it's good or bad, she's going to do it to help the person, and Batman's always going to do the good thing. If you didn't know Colin Farrell was the Penguin, you would be like, who is this actor? I've never seen this dude before, ever.
And it's so good. And it's like, it's those little things that make me excited for, like, I love this movie, but now I'm so excited to see what they do with the next one, because you have kind of started this world. Penguin's a big part of that, and it's like, he's just so good.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, even like the way he walks, they don't make it even like, they don't focus on it. And it's just like, you just have to take it all in while he's on screen. And it's so good. I feel like he's not getting enough love, but like Jeffrey Wright to me.
Oh my God.
Was one of probably my favorite part of the movie.
It was probably the first time in any of the Batman movies where Gordon was an active participant in it, rather than just being like, "Oh, Batman, you're doing a thing.
Yeah,
let me be here."
And he's in it. Like, I mean, it's just him and Batman for a ton of it. And man, like he like rides that line of like, he's the serious cop, but he's also just a cool dude, and that's just Jeffrey Wright, anyways. But like he does this thing. He just calls everyone man. You know, like he just keeps calling him Batman man. He's like, come on, man. Like, it's so good. And there's like...
Or Chief.
Yeah. And there's just little things in here that, like, he is, like, the brevity of this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the lightest part of it. And it's just so good.
This one is, like, very entrenched in the Batman ethos. Like, who Batman is, what he represents. Which has morphed over time into what America is. Like, there's a part in the movie where he talks about how vengeance only solves problems of the past. And sometimes I feel like that's a problem with America, is we're only looking at the past problems rather than the future problems.
Wow.
And not to go into the spoilery parts of Batman, but that's like his revelation in this movie. He's really realizing, like, vengeance is not always the answer. You got to find something more to be the hero that Gotham needs. Yeah. And so the ethos of Batman here is just like on full display. And that's why I think I prefer this version of Batman over the other ones.
And that's a good point, because like, we really haven't gotten an inspiring Batman. You know, that like, and for most of it, he's not that inspiration or that symbol, but like every movie talks about him being a symbol. And this is the first time that I felt like by the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, yeah, like people really do, like there's a really great moment at the end that like, and it's so small, and it's almost like if you're not like really, because by that point you may be like, I gotta pee, but like
wrap it up, guys.
If you're really into it, like there's just a beautiful moment of like, where like you see that, where like, okay, it's gonna be okay. This dude is becoming what he's supposed to become, because you see him start the movie one way and end it in a totally different place.
Yep.
And that's called growth. You know, it's called character development.
You know,
and I like my movies with them.
We love to see a movie with character development. That means it's a movie.
It looks incredible. Matt Reeves is a superstar in my opinion. I love Matt Reeves.
Amazing. The different versions of the Batman theme throughout the movie.
Michael Giacchino, like that, like there was a moment, and we saw it in a huge screen with a bunch of speakers, but when the Batmobile comes out, like you feel it in your body, and it is like, I just like lit up, because you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so good.
And I love that it's all going to be self-contained in its own sequels and spin-offs. It's not going to have Superman.
I hope
just not. Zack Snyder, please stay away.
Wow, you've just like this, they're gonna flood our comments now.
I don't
Why
care.
would you say that?
Out of the 40 people that watch us regularly.
Yeah, you're right. Hopefully they're on our side.
I mean, they've already seen our Zack Snyder review, so. All right, rating time. How many cards out of 10 would you give this movie?
Like right out of the gate, I'd give this like a 10 out of 10. But I'll knowing that like we're still on the Batman high, I'll probably realistically be like 9.5 out of 10. I just love this movie. And I know I'm sure us talking about it did not convey that enough, but like I just cannot wait to see this movie again.
Yeah, I was struggling with the rating too, because it is long.
Yeah.
But also there is no wasted moments.
No.
And that's like good to see, but also it's like when I think about rewatching it, I'm like, that's like a commitment. So I struggle between 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I can't really decide yet. I'm one of those people that doesn't really decide. I just give random ratings most of the time, unless I know I hate a movie, and then I'm like, 2 out of 10. And this is not that.
Yeah.
So it's either an 8 or a 9. I'll come to a conclusion after this video, most likely. So it's in the 8 or 9. I think a rewatch is really going to make me decide if it's an 8 or a 9. Pattinson's great. Zoe Kravitz is great. Colin Farrell's great. As you said, score, the way it looks, cinematography, the editing is like, it's like perfect. It's just a good Batman movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, could be first, could be second.
I think it's going to be interesting. Time will tell, you know, like where this all falls.
Un esercito di prodi